Hello, and welcome back to In Spirit with Missy Reno Smith.
And I'm Vanna Smith, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about dying. So why don't we start this off with, what do we see first when we die?
What do we see first? Gosh, well, it can actually be different for each person what exactly they're going to see first. So it might be more interesting, I think, to start with, what happens when we're dying.
Yeah.
Maybe. So, we're making a transition. We're transitioning our consciousness from this earthly dimension to our true home, which is heaven. Heaven is a solid place. Everybody thinks of it as sort of this, energetic thought realm or something, but it's actually more solid than this place. This place is like a hologram. And,
The Matrix.
Like the Matrix. And, we're all up in heaven, our higher self is, and we're sort of having this fully immersed, virtual reality experience, game that we're playing. And I don't mean to trivialize life in any way, shape, or form, but it is like a game.
Yeah.
And so when it's time for that to be over, we need to bring our consciousness back fully to heaven. And
Back to the real place.
To the real world, so to speak.
So are we waking up in a vat, just like Neo in the Matrix, He's got all these things hooked up to him, and he's in a vat, he's like,
No, it's not like that. But of course, we've talked about this before a little bit, how I see everybody is they're sitting in sort of these dentist type chair, and they're sort of reclined back and just having this fully immersed experience. And it's hard to relate it in earthly terms because we don't have this type of technology here. And but we're just sort of fully immersed into that experience. But there's nothing hooked up to your higher self body. You're just sort of in this pod area, and then kind of cradled in this weird dentist chair. And so when the body dies here, your consciousness is moving through the synapses of the brain, and it's sort of being sucked out, so to speak. And people perceive that as a tunnel, as they're moving through a tunnel. But it's not a physical tunnel. It's just your brain, it's moving from one consciousness to the other, just the wiring and all of that.
It's like turning off an old TV, it's always and there's that little dot in the middle. You remember that because you're old?
I'm not that old, but okay, yeah, totally. I've watched those movies too. It's I don't think we had a television. I grew up in the 80s, so I don't know that they were that was more in the earlier times, I think, that you're talking about.
I think it was 60s maybe.
50s, 60s, I don't know. 60s, but I know what you're saying, where they kind of everything
all gets sucked in.
Yeah, so it is a bit like that, but you're being sort of pulled through. And but while you're being pulled through, you are becoming aware of heaven. And around you, around your higher self, there's going to be people that you love, people that you were living with who passed away before you, and they're waiting for you to come. And so you might see their faces. As a matter of fact, even before you leave the body fully, you might even talk about those faces, seeing them, because what happens is when we're dying, we can go in and out of consciousness and sort of in and out, almost like we're testing the waters.
Yeah.
Is it time to leave? Is it not? And so people who are sitting with somebody who is on their quote unquote deathbed will hear them talk about people that have already passed on and stuff. And they are seeing them. But they're able to do that though because they're sort of in this
they're being transferred over.
Yeah, I use the term eject button when we're dying. We are sort of ejected out. We're not fully experiencing this world at a full state of consciousness. We're sort of, in between. When spirits describe to me their passings, they'll describe them as if they're looking down on it and not like in it. It's like, I saw my body and it was doing this or that, and one that stands out to me is a wonderful spirit in heaven I know named Jessica. Of course, I didn't know her here on earth, but when she described her passing to me for her parents, she had been in a car accident and had collided with a truck. And she talked about boxes. She was looking down and she saw these boxes sort of flying through the air. And they're packages. And, but I think it was very comforting to her parents to know that, she was watching it.
Yeah.
She was watching that.
She wasn't in there in her body experiencing any sort of pain, discomfort, fear.
Yeah. She was totally okay. She had sort of ejected her consciousness from her body and she was watching it. And then, of course, she realized that she was passed.
Yeah.
And so she turned her focus towards heaven, and then that's where she saw, people waiting for her, and that. So that's how we're able to do that, is we eject, and it's a gift from God.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what are we learning in those last moments? Typically not a whole lot. So
pain and suffering.
We don't really need that.
Yeah.
So that's why I think God allows us to eject early. We can do that in times of great pain. It's not just when we're passing, we can disassociate from our body at various times in our life for certain reasons. And, somebody who is, being injured, like I did it when I broke my wrist once. You did it.
That time I fell off a scooter.
You fell off a scooter. And, you described it to the doctor as if you were looking down at your body. And, that it's just something that we can do. So we don't really have to be afraid of dying. God doesn't want us to fully feel all of that. If it gets too much, we eject. Yeah. If it's too much, we disassociate.
So we can decide if we want to eject or not, or if I wanted to for some reason get that experience of pain, say I was in I don't know, being murdered. Maybe I want to feel someone hitting me with an axe.
No. You don't have control over it.
I don't have control over it?
You don't have control over it. I don't know why any spirit would want to feel all of that so much, but time speeds up and slows down all at the same time. Oddly, time is just, it's sort of, it just becomes very weird when you're having an experience like that, a very traumatic experience, whether it results in death or not.
Yep.
So you're going to sort of disassociate a little bit there. And you don't really have control over it. I think very few people have control over, it's just something that's happening to you. I think a lot of spirits have described it to me like they were just being pulled out of their body. They were pulled out. They weren't pushing themselves out or anything. They got pulled out, and so it's sort of automatic. So you don't have to know how to do it or anything.
Were they actually being pulled out by maybe their angels or something, or is it just how it just felt?
I think both. I think it just feels that way. But I think also sometimes our guides and angels are saying, okay, it's time to go, and they get us out.
Yeah.
And so yes to, both of those, I guess.
So you get pulled out of your body, or kind of just step away, kind of like a old TV shutting off. But then after you're up in heaven, what's the next step? Are you going to I need to go see my dogs, I need to go see my family, or this or that, or what do you need to do next? Something you have to do?
The dogs are already there. You can't keep them away. The dogs are waiting for you. Your animals are typically the first ones to greet you.
Yeah.
But the people who are closest to you tend to be standing right there when you come out. So you see the people you were really hoping to see, like they're standing there. What is the next step? I mean, you are, after being greeted, it sort of depends on the spirit. It can depend on how long you've been here. People who have been here for a very long time, or somebody who's been here for a very short time, they might not need to do a life review. But if you've, if like a child passes, they don't really, always need to do a full life review. But that's typically next, is you review your life, and you do that with God.
With God himself.
You do that with God, themselves. Yes,
themselves.
Both sides of God. And, you are reviewing the stuff that is good. It's not focused. It's not negative. It's not like God is like, here's where you went wrong. That's not what it's about. God
It's
is
just like, here's what you learned.
Here's what you learned. And here's what you did good. And oftentimes we did a lot better than we thought we did. We helped people we didn't know we helped.
Yeah.
Sometimes just smiling at somebody and it changes their whole day, and maybe they were really depressed and just didn't think that anybody in this world knew who they were or something. And you smiled or you said hello or you lifted them up. I mean, it's even things that are small like that. God is pointing those out to us to say good job and to give us gratitude for helping their other children. So it's the life review process. It's not like something that we have to think of in like you don't have to dread it.
Yeah.
You
don't have to go, oh God, I once accidentally cut that dude off while driving. Oh God, God's gonna hate me for that.
No, but but even the big stuff, because we're all people. We make mistakes. Like we've all hurt somebody at some point in some way, and sometimes in a big way. And God has nothing but open arms for us. So it doesn't matter what we've done.
It's just kind of inevitable that you end up hurting someone here on this planet.
It sort of is, yeah. I mean, we don't always intend for it, but it just sort of happens. It's okay. You're not going to be judged and, or not let in. Like, people are always worried about, like, will they go to heaven? Well, guess what? That's where you're going.
Yeah.
You're not going anywhere else. I mean, there's only one other place to go, and the people that are there choose to be there. So if you don't choose to be there, if you want to be with God, you're going to be with God.
Yep.
The people that are in that dark space, they're, these spirits that have sort of turned away from God. It doesn't matter whether or not you believe in God, right? That has nothing to do with it. It's these spirits, they've turned away. That was all done in God's great wisdom, because nothing happens without God's permission.
Yep.
But they choose to be in that dark space. They want to be there. So if you want to be in heaven, you will be in heaven. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about, judgment or anything like that. The life review process, I swear, it's pleasant.
And I imagine those people who are dark spirits, whatever, probably wouldn't really worry too much about where they're going to go.
No, they don't care. They don't
not
care.
Not here on Earth, and probably not really as much over there.
They don't contemplate it. These spirits, these people, walking this earth, that have truly turned away. And we should never judge somebody and think, oh, they're one of them. You don't know. You really don't know.
Yeah, and they're just doing, what God made them to do.
That's very true. They're doing what God needs them to do, because they help us learn very big, tough lessons. and that. So, but those that are that way, they're not listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
They don't care. But they're not thinking about where they're going to go afterwards. They don't.
So if any listeners are worried about it, they just shouldn't be.
You
Because if you're worried
shouldn't.
about it, you're fine.
Yes.
You're going to heaven.
You're just fine. You're just fine. No, I get people asking me this all the time. I get people who are like, Missy, I did this or I did that.
Yep.
Like maybe they even murdered somebody. Killed somebody somehow and accidentally, however. Self-defense, yes, or whatever. You're fine. You're fine. This is not permission to act badly or anything like that. But it is to just tell you, like, whatever is happened in your life, it's okay.
Yep.
It's happening here for a reason, because this is a stage. This is where you're supposed to do it, right?
Yep.
Like, this is where we're supposed to have those experiences, and we don't do those things in heaven. It just doesn't happen.
So you finished up this life and you're, like, oh, dang, I've done all this bad stuff or whatever, and then it all just kind of fades away as you die. You're like, oh, it's okay. It was all part of my life plan. So then you actually go through and review your life plan. When you're reviewing it, what happened? Is it like reading a book? Is it like watching a movie? Is it like seeing visions?
It's like a movie. And, it's like, where you're sort of just reviewing it, not necessarily on a screen, because there's technology in heaven that we don't have here. We can't even, it's hard to even fathom it. Like, but it's like in front of you, like you're just seeing it, and, you might be like, oh gosh, I didn't do very good there. Maybe I did something bad. Maybe I stole or something, or I don't know. Maybe, like, who knows, things that people could do and they could feel bad about. And you're reviewing that and you're seeing that and you're feeling, sort of like, oh gosh, but God then just embraces you and says, it's okay. It's okay what happened here, but look over here. Look what you did. You helped that person, you did something good here. So God is always lifting you up. And that, so it's not bad. And seeing the things that maybe we think we didn't do that great at, we don't, we're not going to beat ourselves up over it. Mm-hmm. We might just say, oh gosh, okay, maybe I could just try that again.
Yep.
Maybe I could come back and I'll just try it again, and I'll try to do better this time. And I think a lot of us will sometimes do that. It's not a requirement, but during the review process, we certainly are looking at ways to improve our next life.
But why do we really even need to review it in the first place? Because, you would, like, remember it right after you stepped out of your body, right? Is it just to sort of, like, be like, oh, you're just like going over it again? But
well, that's a really great question. And the reason that's such a great question is because, yes, you do remember things, but you don't get to see them from other people's view. So when you're reviewing your life, you actually get to see it.
So you're seeing it from every single perspective.
Angle.
So you can really learn about it. So it is more like watching a movie.
Yeah. So so per se, like, if you were to have hurt somebody, you can see what happened from their angle, and you can see everything that happened from it, and maybe good things came out of it.
Yep.
Right? There's so many things that we don't know how we affected somebody. Here we don't know the ripple effect, and so we get to see everything. That's why it's important.
So after this life, I can go ahead and take a look through your eyes and how you view me.
Yes, absolutely, you can. You can do that. We can all do that. We don't care. We want to help other people learn and grow, and so even if there's somebody that, like, maybe really hurt us, and you might think, oh, I would never help them. I would never help them, improve or do anything or whatever. That's just not how it works. In heaven, we just allow everybody to look, to see.
Yeah.
We don't care. And we just love it. Everybody, like, it all washes away. Like I always say, like the negativity of this place, of our experiences, it all just washes away, and we want to help each other.
And you can also take a look at all the positive stuff too, right?
Right.
So when I'm done with this life, I can take a look at me through your eyes, see all the positive and the negative I've done for you. Maybe a lot of negative in that.
No, you haven't done a lot of negative, but no, you get to see, what it was like for me to be your mom.
Yeah.
You get to look and see what it's like, to be your sister, or your brother, or whoever, like all these, your friend, you can look and see what that was like for them. And that will inform you for your next life. I mean, because then you can say, oh, I need to change this or that, or I want to experience, something further. Like I want to explore that topic more or whatever. So
are you just kind of like viewing it like what it would look like through their eyes, or can you see like maybe like their thoughts they had about you too?
Yeah, thoughts are recorded as well. So thoughts are part of that. We've spoken about thoughts a little bit before about kind of maybe how people might be embarrassed by the thoughts that they have, and God is receiving all of our thoughts. God knows everything that goes through our mind. And that's okay. And with the record, the Akashic record, whatever people want to call it, I just call it the library, but it holds the records of every single life ever lived.
Yep.
So all of your lives are like in one little area of the library. And it does include all your thoughts and things. And so, yes, so if somebody's reviewing, they can certainly see those as well. But I swear, we don't care over there. Once you get to heaven, you don't care about, you're not self-conscious, you're not embarrassed. These things they don't even cross our minds over there. We're just fully open and like, hey, sure, take a look. You can definitely see, exactly what I was thinking about you at that time.
Yeah, it's just hard to picture in the earthly body being okay with that, It's like after we're both on the other side, whatever, you can view how I viewed you from my perspective and hear all my thoughts about it. And to me, that's just like,
I've probably annoyed you a lot.
Oh, absolutely. You're my mom. That's what parents mostly do to their children. Yeah. I'm annoyed constantly.
Yeah, I'm sure that I do. Will I want to review all of that? I don't know that I'll feel the need to. Like, I'm just okay with that. I'm okay annoying you. And I'm okay with whatever thoughts you have when I'm okay.
And I'm okay annoying you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll tell you, I'm very okay annoying you.
I know. I get it. It's mutual. No, but it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Like, I don't know that we all like care so much to look at it either. But we can. If you want to, you can.
So after you've done like all that reviewing, everything, you've read other people's thoughts about you, you've seen all the good, all the bad you've done, what are you going to do after that?
So it kind of depends, again, because every spirit is different. Like, so sometimes people have the party before the review, right? Sometimes they have it afterwards, but when you go home, there's always a party. Mm-hmm. There's a big party. And
with no drugs or alcohol, very disappointing to the earthly beings.
Yeah, but heaven is like you feel euphoric in heaven at all times, so you're not looking for any sort of substance to create that. I think on earth we try to recreate the feelings that we have in heaven, like because we're all homesick. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why people can get really caught up in drugs and and alcohol and stuff because they're sort of looking for that. So we don't need that, but there's a party and all of the people that love you are there. And it's not just the people that you knew from your life that you just lived. It's also people that are, from past lives, or just people that you know in heaven. Like, they all want to come and greet you.
Yep.
And but the people that are missing are obviously the ones that are still here on earth.
Yep.
So we're here, we're grieving, right? When our people pass, we're grieving, they're partying. That's just how it works.
It's kind of unfair.
It is. I suppose it is unfair, but no, it's graduation day when we pass.
Yeah.
You just graduated from life. This life you just lived. You got to the finish line, and it's exciting, and it's worthy of a celebration. And I think a lot of people, though, now are starting to consider the get-togethers after somebody's passed here as parties. So I think we're seeing a lot more celebrations of life here on Earth, too, rather than sad funerals.
But we live so many lives. That's a lot of parties. Why do we have to have a party after every single one,
Why? Because think of eternity. Think of, eons and eons of time, like never-ending time. Like, any excuse for a party, I think, is great. Like a get-together. No, yeah, we love to socialize in heaven. We love to come together, and a life celebration party is a perfect excuse for a party, another one. I mean, we see a lot of sort of get-togethers and things over there. There's a lot of activity. Heaven is a very lively place.
Yep.
People are happy and joyful, and we're social. We love to travel. We love to do all these wonderful things. And so, but it is a big deal to get through life here.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. So it's worthy of that party. It's a graduation time. Just, people who collect diplomas. There are a lot of people in this world who, like, they're constantly, like, they want to get another degree.
Yep.
They hold, like, multiple masters, multiple PhDs. They should be celebrating everyone that they earn.
Yeah.
Just as we should celebrate every life that we live, whether you're, on your, your first, second, third, or whether you're on your, like, 10,000th life. It's an accomplishment.
What are those parties like, I mean, there's no food, there's no drinks, there's, like, nothing really that's, like, in a party here,
Oh gosh, I see dancing, I see there's music, there's all sorts of celebrating games. People love to just have fun, dance, play games, all sorts of stuff. We think of food and drinking and all of that. It's such a important part of our life, and so it's hard for us to imagine, especially events, right? Because here on Earth we come together and we eat.
Yeah, you, like, bring food to parties, you eat other people's food. It's like it's a whole thing.
It's hard to imagine what it's like not doing that. I get that, but trust me, there's nobody's, like, left, like, wanting. Everybody is like, they're totally fine with the festivities that we have, like, over there. It's like, we're not thinking, oh, this would be great if we were eating or something. Like, we just don't care.
This would be a lot better with a Bloody Mary.
Right. We're already euphoric. We don't need a substance. We don't care. So, but no, there's plenty of things to do. And we just like to talk, and especially after a life, because you get to tell all those stories, like all the things that happened to you.
All the embarrassing ones.
Especially the embarrassing ones. Oh my God, those are the best ones to tell.
So what's coming after that party, after you've already shared all your embarrassing stories?
So after the party, a spirit will sort of wind down a little bit. They're going to probably want to visit their loved ones who are grieving. They typically make a habit of that, so they like to come and see them quite often. They're still getting their sea legs. That's how I like to describe it, in those first weeks of being home in heaven. And they're not expected to do a whole lot. You're just sort of resting and visiting your loved ones because they miss you so much, right? Yeah. And, when you come into their space, you can kind of feel that. Even, you don't have to be a psychic medium to be able to feel when your loved one is with you. Yeah. And that, I know it's everybody wishes they could just talk to them so easily like that, but typically people start to feel that. They start to pick up on the little nuances of the energy in the room and that. And they might try to come to you when you're sleeping in your dreams. And so a lot of focus after the party is back on earth, trying to help the ones who are still here. Because we're sad, people are missing.
After you've been doing all that partying up there, dancing, playing those games, you go, oh wait, I got a family back on Earth. I should probably check on them.
I should probably check on them.
I should probably see if they're okay right now.
That's about how it goes. That is. And, it's not that we're not on their minds when they're partying, it's just that's
dancing, doing the Dougie or something fun, they're like, oh, my family's probably crying right now. My mother's doing really terribly.
And yes, then you're like, all right, guys, I gotta cut out here. So I'm going to go see what's happening. Yes. And so you start to focus more on people who are still here on Earth and that. But then you're gonna, after a while, after some weeks, it's hard. It's so time in heaven is like not the same as it is here. Like, what'll be weeks or months here on Earth feels like a very short time to them, maybe hours or days for them. So it's not like all of this time is really passing for them. It doesn't seem like that. But here it can seem like a long time is going. But eventually they start to back off. They do this for a couple of reasons. One is, I think, to help us push forward in our grief. They back off slightly, give us a little space so that we can move through all of the phases of grief. Yeah. And that is very important that we go through those phases and that. So they back off for that reason. And also because they're going to get back to their own interests and things in heaven too. We all have things that we're passionate about. Sometimes I'll refer to it as our job. It's a horrible term because we don't it makes it sound like work, and it's not work. It's like what we love. Whatever we love, we get back to that. We start giving more time to that. And so then there's less time for us to spend with our loved ones who are still here on Earth. Yeah. But it's not that we don't. It's not that we're losing interest, it's just that we're sort of being called away. We just have other things to do. And we'll still always come back and check on everybody. It's just we're not spending as much time.
I mean, dying doesn't sound too bad, it's not like we really seem to have to worry all that much about it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, dying is very natural. We come here for just a very short time. We have to leave this place somehow.
We come here to die.
We do come here. We come here to live and to die, to go back to heaven. And it's a very natural process. It's not something we have to fear. Something that I like to do with my clients is when I take them on a past life regression, I always take them through the death scene. Yeah. I want them to experience it, not in a way of experiencing pain or anything like that, but I want them to see how easy it was and how it's nothing that we should fear. Yeah. It's easy. It's easy to, we can have some pain leading up to it and discomfort, but it's never too much. Yeah. And I've never ever had a client who has gone through a death scene, and I've seen clients gone through some pretty intense ones, but they never had an experience where they were like, oh, this was too hard. You know, this was traumatic. How, why would I have chosen to die in that way or anything like that? Everybody was like, oh, it's easy.
Yeah.
So we don't have to fear it. If you have a fear of death or that, it's just sort of wasted energy, I think, on it. We're all going to have to get there someday.
It's just unnecessary to worry about it.
It's unnecessary to worry. Perhaps a regression might be helpful to somebody who does have an overwhelming fear of it. But like I said, I've never seen a spirit who has regretted how they passed, and I've never met a client who was taken through a death scene who thought it was too difficult as well. So I think that dying is it's okay. It's not something to fear. It's natural. It's normal. It's it's just the transition from one world to the other.
Okay, well, I think that's all the time we have. Thank you for joining us.
Remember that God loves you, and I'm sending angels your way.
If you'd like to know more about Missy Reno Smith, her readings, her artwork, please visit MissyRenoSmith.com. You can also find In Spirit Podcast on TikTok, X, and Instagram, as well as YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts.